All right, man, peace. So now this is going to be part 2 on the series pertaining to LeBron James opening a school in Akron, Ohio for quote-unquote at-risk youth. So, of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Welcome back to The Jump. Yesterday you saw part 1 of our fearless leader, Rachel Nichols' conversation with LeBron at the opening of his I Promise school in Akron. In part 2, LeBron explains why he chose this path and his plans for the upcoming season.
Great camera angles.
It doesn't matter, as a kid growing up in the inner city, and me specifically growing up here in Akron, Ohio, being underprivileged and feeling that you could become a statistic. By me being able to put something like this together, I want people to know that these kids should still have the same opportunity as everyone else.
Well, I have to ask, brother, were you really the one who put this thing together? Who exactly did you speak to say, I want the school to teach this, I want it to look like that, I wanted to make sure that the students dressed in such and such way? Or was it simply that you donated your name and that day when the school opened for publicity for yourself?
You said that line of, hey, I could have been a statistic.
Absolutely.
And you weren't, because as you said, you were good at basketball. And people who were around basketball took an interest in you and supported you. You decided pretty early that you were going to look out for the kids of Akron, even the ones who weren't good at sports.
Yeah.
But how did we get to a school? Because we were sitting in an actual school.
Yeah, how do we get to a school? That's what we're all trying to figure out.
Wait a minute. Why would you say that's what we're all trying to figure out if this was your brainchild, brother? How could you say you're trying to figure out how you got to a school? Let me rewind that back.
Sports.
Yeah.
But how did we get to a school? Because we were sitting in an actual school.
Yeah, how do we get to a school? That's what we're all trying to figure out, right?
That's how you know this dude is lying. Because she asked him, how did you get to a school? Supposedly, he thought it up. He's the one who's been in charge of the entire process. But he has to ask the same question that she just asked him. That's how you know that this most likely was a question that they did not go over before the interview. And it was a relatively free-flowing question, and it caught him off guard.
Rach, you were around when it was a 5-mile bike ride.
Yeah.
When we was doing the bike-a-thon. And
Right, but she didn't ask you about the bike-a-thon. She asked you about the school. So now he's trying to stave off time so that he could think of a lie of how this school came to fruition and really whose idea it was.
And I think it just shows growth from me as a basketball player as well. From the bike-a-thon to who I am today as a basketball player. And it shows the growth and kind of just like not having a ceiling. I don't have a ceiling to how much I can improve with my game. And
so in other words, she asked you where the idea of a school came from. And you quickly try to diverge the topic off to your bike-a-thon and back to basketball. Why is that, brother? Because basketball is truly the only thing that you know about. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're an expert at basketball. But just be a man and admit that the school was not your idea, it was Nike's idea, and that they just put your name on it for brand building. They're trying to help you build your brand as a modern-day Muhammad Ali. And that's all it's about. I'm going to rewind it one more time because I just want you brothers to pay very close attention to how he responds and how he reacts when she asks him where the idea of a school came from.
You were going to look out for the kids of Akron, even the ones who weren't good at sports.
Yeah.
But how did we get to a school? Because we were sitting in an actual school.
yeah, how do we get to a school? That's what we're all trying to figure out.
That answer makes absolutely no sense. Because, brothers, if he was sitting back stating, I want to help the children of Akron, I'm going to have a school built for them, he would have just said that right away. He would have said, you know what, Rachel? I always wanted to do more for the children here in Ohio and Akron. And I believe it was in March of 2014, I told my team, we have to start building towards something bigger. We need to do something to help empower these children, these at-risk youth in Akron. And that's when one of the members of my team and I decided that we should build a school. We knew that it was going to take a long time. We knew that it was going to be a process, but we feel like education is the key to empowerment. He should have said something like that. But for him to say that's what we're all trying to figure out, come on now. Brother, just say that you had nothing to do with it. Just say that Nike is the brain trust behind this whole thing.
Rach, I mean, you were around when it was just a 5-mile bike ride.
Yeah.
You know, when we was doing the bike-a-thon, and I think it just shows growth from me as a basketball player as well. From the bike.
What does your basketball playing have to do with the question that she asked you?
Bike-a-thon to who I am today as a basketball player, and it shows the growth and kind of just like not having a ceiling. You know, I don't have a ceiling to how much I can improve with my game, and
well, you certainly have a ceiling in regards to how much money you're willing to donate to this project, because I don't think you donated one red penny. According to official reports, your foundation donated $2 million. And as we all know, that's a tax write-off. That's what I tell you brothers all the time. This is all commercial. This is all financial. None of this is coming from an emotional place in regards to, I feel so sorry for the children, I'm going to donate my money to them. Nobody really knows how much money he even has in his bank account. Who the hell knows? He might still be getting extorted by the Kabbalah Center. Who knows? He might not have no damn money. And they said, we just going to make you look good. You know, we're going to open up a new school with a bunch of Saturnian imagery on it and inside of it. And we're going to put your name on it. You just make sure you keep sending us our checks. Who the hell knows? But for her to ask him that question and he not be able to give a real answer other than to try to deflect back to basketball, that tells me that something is right in Denmark.
We as a foundation don't have a ceiling on how much we can improve our community, and to a point where we have a school. Like, we literally have a school. It's not a charter school, it's not a private school, it's a real life school.
Well, brother, let's be for real. You don't have a school. The city of Akron has a school because it's part of the Akron public school system. That's why the public are the ones paying for your school. You're not paying for the school. And by a couple of years from now, they're going to be maintaining it 100%. They're already going to be the ones that have to pay for it through their taxes to the tune of 80% of the founding cost of the school is going to be put on the Akron public. And a lot of money is going to be reallocated from other schools already in Akron to fund your school. So that's the reality of the situation. You can sit there looking like LeBron X all you want. You can talk about the school and how much you love the kids. You didn't pay for this school.
You know, in my hometown, and this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Crazy to sit around and
absolutely.
I look around here. One thing that caught my eye beyond just all the academic stuff is the kids here will go here for longer school year and also longer day. They stay here until 5 o'clock, partly just so they're in this supported system and not out in the world as much.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Once again, brothers, let me say this. What that tells me is if they're going to have the children in that school for that long a period of time, that there's some very poor parenting going on at home. And people might say, well, how do you know? You don't know these children's situations. Their parents could be dealing with certain issues. They may be working long hours. All that's possible. All that's possible. But that's why I say all the time, and once again, my channel is geared towards the so-called black man. Brothers, don't have any children until you're where you want to be in your life. Many of these modern day women are no longer having children until they're in their mid to late 30s because that's their credo. That's their MO, their modus operandi, is that I'm not going to get pregnant until I'm 38, 39 years old because I want to be at a certain station in my life. The so-called black man needs to embrace that. Because brothers are here getting females pregnant and you're 21, 22 years old, you're not ready, and it's going to lead to a lot of entropy in your life. And next thing you know, that leads to chaos in your child's life. And children have no idea how to deal with chaos. They're going to look for whatever lifeline they can find, and oftentimes that lifeline is drug use, it's gang membership, it's prostitution. So just keep that shit in mind, man. I'm dead serious about that.
The other thing was food, is that if a kid is hungry, it's hard to learn. So you guys are giving these kids breakfast and lunch and a snack.
Yep, and a snack.
How important is that?
I think first of all, fueling the body, keeps the mind sharp. And I remember I was a kid, my attention span, I mean, listen, you can have me for a little bit, but you have to keep me engaged.
Well, we already know you were barely in school anyway. Because Lord knows what your mother was doing, so you was barely in school anyway. So the 2 or 3 days after school year you was in school, you probably wasn't paying much attention because you was trying to figure out how you was going to work on your game.
And feel like they're family. That's what we want to create, no matter the goods and the bad. You always want to be around that.
Look at all that black. Everything in the school, black, black, black. Seems very dour. But once again, the god Saturn, or Kronos, his color scheme was always black. That's what he was known for. That's why, that term Saturnine, the word Saturnine today is a metaphor for gloomy, or dour, or sullen. That was the color of the god Asar, aka Baal, or Saturn, is black. So whenever you see that theme used of somebody dressing in all black, that's normally for witchcraft, because Asar, or Osiris, or Baal was also known as the god of witchcrafts, along with the god Pan.
A support system, so that's what we're creating here.
Can I ask you about your other job, the whole basketball player thing?
Yeah,
Should we get to that a little bit? Because, you've made a huge change, and you have talked about how the weight and idea of helping this historic Lakers franchise, you announced it quicker this time than you had with your free agency moves in the past. Is that reflective of the fact that you kind of reached that peace and decision quicker?
Well, the reason why he announced it so quickly was because he knew that he was going to the Lakers from a couple of years ago. His career has already been plotted out for him. He goes to Miami to learn with his Luciferian brother, Dwayne Wade, comes back to Cleveland, redeems himself. That's why, if you guys remember, on the cover of that Sports Illustrated, it stated, "I'm coming home." The background was in all black, and he was dressed in all black, because he had ascended to a higher level of Luciferianism, of Masonry, during his time period in Miami, as well as being instructed in the Kabbalah on how to ascend to the higher levels. Problem was, he was getting extorted by that damn Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto, whatever his name is. So he went back to Cleveland. He redeemed himself. He was able to regain the love and the trust of the Midwest market, the Midwest constituency, which is going to be pivotal a few years from now when he tries to buy the Cavaliers. Most likely does buy the Cavaliers. He'll probably try to buy the Browns as well. And he may even run for mayor of Akron or governor of Ohio. Who knows? But they have some plans for LeBron James. That's why they keep mentioning his name in a political way.
Absolutely. I'm just at a point where I know what I want, what I like, and my family played a huge part of that. So, no need for the dramatics or the drawn out conclusion of things. Just get right to it.
When you look at that roster, though, you're not just the only elite player on it. You're the only all-star on there. There's one guy who could have come with you that would have kept those young players there too, Paul George. What were your conversations with him before he decided to stay with the Thunder Club?
Paul George just said to himself, "Look, I'm not trying to be one of LeBron James' sidekicks, because all that means is that I have to stay in the background playing a snare drum. At least if I'm with Russ, I get to stay out in OKC and I have to deal with all that undue pressure and blame after we don't win. And it's pretty good fishing out here as well." That was going on with Paul George. Paul George said, "Bump LeBron. I'm not going to be bothered with that." But just back to LeBron and why he went out to Hollywood. Once again, now he's risen to an even higher level of Luciferianism. He rose through the levels in Miami. He got to an even higher level back in Cleveland. And now he's coming out to LA, which is the home of the witches. So he knew he was coming to LA for a very long time. Very long time. I would probably say the last 2 years or so. That's why I stated in that video series that I did on Kyrie Irving, I stated that one of the main reasons why Kyrie demanded the trade is because he knew that LeBron James was going to leave. And if LeBron James had left and left him in Cleveland, he would have had to have taken all the blame for when that team dropped off precipitously, because it would have taken a whole season for them to learn how to play in an actual system. Because when you have 12 other guys there playing in the LeBron James system, after he leaves, they don't even know what to do. They don't know how to play real basketball because they haven't done it while he was there. So Kyrie knew he was going to get caught up in that, as well as being advised by his mentor, by his master, Kobe Bryant, his master in Luciferianism. Kobe told him, "Look, you got to get the hell up out of there, because that guy's going to leave you high and dry. He's going to come out to L.A. Hell, Kobe might have told him, LeBron coming out to L.A. Don't tell me how I know that. I just know. I met LeBron at the Witch Coven out here at Bohemian Grove, he told me. So I'm just telling you, Kyrie, get your ass out of Dodge.
I didn't have many conversations with Paul, and I think Paul did what was best for him. And I think that's what everybody should do as players. They should do what's best for them and their family.
Absolutely. And that's the greatest thing that you brought in regards to the NBA consciousness. Always do what's best for you and your family.
And obviously the Lakers haven't made the playoffs in a few years, but the Lakers organization and the historical franchise matches up there with all the greats. You know, you can look at, you know, the Cowboys, and you can look at the Patriots. You can look at Manchester United, Boston Celtics. These are like historical franchises, and for me to be a part of that, it just, you know, I think it's a great moment for not only me, but for my family and for the, you know, the history of basketball in general.
And look, a lot of these are one-year contracts. Lakers have talked about wanting that flexibility still for next summer. A lot of big free agents could be available then. You're turning 34 this season, though. How do you feel about the idea that what could be one of the last years of your prime is going to be more of a building year?
First off, he could care less that this is going to be viewed as a building year because he wants it to be a year of transformation. It's going to give him the time that he needs to make sure that he cements all his business relationships. It's also going to be a year for him to just be relaxed. It wouldn't shock me to see LeBron lead the league in scoring. It wouldn't shock me to see him take a step back and have his numbers dip while he allows the younger players to grow.
I don't even look at it like that because I don't feel like this is one of the last years of my prime. I think that's another statistic number, and I've always been a part of you know, beating the odds in life. So, you know, I don't feel like this is even a rebuilding, you know, year for us. We have an opportunity to do something that a lot of people don't think we can do, and we love the notion of it. It's another rebuilding year, and we don't have enough. So, you know, that will motivate the guys that we have, anyways.
Well, what it'll do is it will provide a safe landing net for you because you're very fond of saying that you don't have enough. So it's very strange, it's very ironic to hear you talk about how the media says that you don't have enough when that's normally a very common refrain from you.
The reason why people are saying, I don't know where the Lakers are going to end up is because the Western Conference is really tough.
Absolutely.
It's one of the deepest it's been in a while. You haven't played in the West before. Have you really thought through, okay, I'm going to be on my four-hour flight of the week, stuff you didn't do back in the East, and what if it's February and we don't have a winning record? Have you thought through if things are grim before they get great?
Oh, absolutely.
I have no idea why people keep bringing up the flight length time. All these players are flying charter. They're all flying damn near private jet. They get to these locations. They're very comfortable. They're sitting in first-class seating. They get to sleep on the plane. They're getting gourmet food. And for some reason, Rachel Nichols seems to think that the flight time from west to east is going to take longer than the flight time from east to west.
Absolutely. I mean, that's all part of the mindset. I mean, there's going to be times, us being a young group, meaning playing together, that we're going to have times where it doesn't look like what we would think. There's going to be times
Come December and January that you're pouting and you're throwing towels and you're cursing out Luke Walton and you're telling Magic this shit ain't going to work. That's what's going to be happening.
Be times where guys are going to question what's going on, and that's...
Of course they got to question what's going on. They're like, what type of system is this we running? I've never seen no shit like this. I open up a playbook, it just says LeBron in there. There's no plays. Well, these guys are going to get a one-page playbook. It's just going to say LeBron.
That's just human nature. I understand that, but I've always been a part of it. I know a lot about the ups and downs of a season, and you know, one thing we can't do is lose focus on what the main goal is, and the main goal is to continue to, you know, be as great as we can be every day, build championship habits, and not even saying that we're a championship team now, but building championship habits to when we get to that point, we can fall back on something. So it should be fun.
All right, so LeBron said he doesn't feel like this is a rebuilding year for the Lakers, guys. Amin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, start with Amin. He normally tells the truth.
Okay. I don't think my credit score is that bad,
but that mortgage company said differently.
You know, I'm still struggling to get a car note. No, I mean, it's just like...
Let me say this very quickly. Everybody's expecting for the Lakers to possibly not even make the playoffs or be an 8th seed or a 7th seed. I think that they can finish anywhere from 3 to 6. I just don't see LeBron James not making the playoffs. I don't see that at all. I think that he's quickly going to assert himself as the best player in the Western Conference in regards to his individual impact. Do I think he's necessarily the best player in the league in regards to being able to fit into every system? No, absolutely not, because he's shown that he can't fit into any system. But I do think that the Lakers are going to be knocking on the door of 50 wins. It would not surprise me if they win 51, 52 games. That's why I could see them even as a 3rd seed. Anywhere from 3 to 6. It depends on how good the OKC Thunder are going to be. Because 1 and 2 are certainly going to be Golden State and Houston, barring any type of catastrophic injury. Of course, I don't expect anything catastrophic to happen to LeBron because nothing has happened thus far, knock on wood. When it comes to OKC, you're going to have Russell Westbrook and Paul George playing together. You're going to have the return of Andre Roberson. And I think that OKC is going to be a much better team because they're not going to have to be concerned with Melo. I think that they're going to have a much more defensive identity. And they're going to be a team to watch in the Western Conference next year.
It's like, I mean, all right, it's not rebuilding because he's there.
Right.
So the rebuilding part has been built, but I guess if you're not rebuilding, does that mean you're a contender? They're not a contender. They're building. I guess he's right.
Yeah, they're not a contender. They're not going to win a championship, but I could see LeBron leading them on a magic carpet ride and getting them to the Western Conference Finals. I also could see them going out in the first round, depending on who they play. Do I think the Lakers would lose to a team like Portland? No, I don't. I could see them losing to Utah. I could see them losing to New Orleans. I could see them losing to OKC, definitely. And certainly Houston and Golden State. But we'll see. This is really going to test the regular season greatness of LeBron James. I've always likened him onto an NBA version of Peyton Manning. He's one of the great, if not arguably the greatest regular season player in the history of the NBA. I mean, of course, Jordan is the greatest, but LeBron is up there in regards to regular season greatness as far as impact. So we're going to see. It's going to be a major test for LeBron James.
Right, it's not a rebuilding year.
They're still building.
They're still building.
Okay.
Yeah, LeBron has rebuilt once in his whole career, and that was his rookie year in Cleveland. Anywhere else he's ever gone, it's like it's either building or, I mean, you can come up with whatever kind of phrase or words you want to put on it. Look, the Lakers are not going to be title contenders, but that doesn't mean you're rebuilding. To me, when I think of rebuilding, it's selling off assets, trying to get in the lottery.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're trying to build up a team. The Lakers are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I think he's right. They're technically not
You
rebuilding.
don't think they're going to be in the
I
playoffs?
didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Whoa,
I did not.
nobody saw you because the
did not.
cameras weren't on.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
It was like
All right, so let's do it this way. What is the...
Amino Hassan, please keep in mind the Lakers won 35 games last year. He's acting like they were the Phoenix Suns. Like, they won 35 games. It wasn't like they won 21 games.
What is the expectation for this team, the Lakers?
Playoffs.
define success.
Playoffs.
Yeah, what's a good season, regular season? How many wins?
Good season for the Lakers. Really great season for them is 53 wins. Get to the third round of the playoffs. That's a great season. Good season for them is 48 wins. Get knocked out in the second round. And, season is 46 wins and go out in the first round to the Rockets or something like that. But I don't expect that from LeBron. I think that they're going to win somewhere around 50 games and they're going to be a problem in the playoffs.
No, not by wins. Not by wins because the West is going to be so contorted.
Okay.
With all the toughness.
I think you mean congested.
Success is if you can get up to 6 or 5 seed, right?
Oh, so you're in the Charles Barkley camp.
I'm just saying, like, you want to stay out of 7 and 8. 7 and 8 is basically going to get your head beat in, and it's not going to look pretty.
Right.
So if you can exit that and move up until kind of like 6, 5 seed, you're good.
Royce?
I would say that seems fair to me. When you put LeBron James in the category, it feels like you defining success becomes something completely different when we're talking about a guy that's been in the NBA Finals for basically a decade running. Mm-hmm. But this is a different situation. I think that's probably fair to say. But again, this is year one. He's given him 4 years, 3 + 1. So this is a little bit different. And I don't think this Lakers team today is going to look the same at the trade deadline.
I agree with that, sir. And that includes the coach.
Probably going to look a little bit different.
See, because I look at the Western Conference, right? Clearly, Golden State's better than them, right? I think the Rockets are better than them. I think OKC.
You think the Rockets are better than them? I mean, give me a break. We know the Rockets are better than them. 1 and 2 is going to be Golden State and Houston. And I also agree with what he's about to say about OKC. I think OKC is going to be a major problem.
Will be better than them. I think the Jazz will be better than them in the regular season. But in the playoffs, as Amin pointed out, you want to stay out of 7 and 8 because I don't think those are winnable series in the first round. Anything else, I think, is a potential winnable series, though I do think OKC would be favored against them in a series, too.
Assuming that they stay healthy, the main thing with OKC is going to be their outside shooting. And that's why I stated in another video to watch for OKC to possibly pursue a trade for Kevin Love around the trade deadline, especially if Cleveland is struggling. If Cleveland is 10, 15 games under 500 near the All-Star break, look for them to try to move Kevin Love, and I could see that genius general manager that the OKC Thunder have trying to make a trade for Kevin Love, and I think that he would add some much needed outside shooting, and also he'd be able to assist Steven Adams with the rebounding chores.
This is the deal, right? Because like you mentioned Charles, and Charles said what he said.
Well, he also said LeBron, and I love Charles. Okay, we all love Charles to death here, but he said that LeBron wants to be a Hollywood mogul. LeBron was a...
It's true. Charles Barkley's right. That's why LeBron went to Hollywood, to be a Hollywood mogul.
I was already kind of a Hollywood mogul before he got to Hollywood.
He's going to be a bigger mogul. I don't think that's the...
Thank you, sir. That's the point. Amin Al-Hassan understands what Charles Barkley's talking about. Yes, you can assist in green lighting some shows while you're in Cleveland, but it can be laborious, it can be tiresome to always be on the phone and not be able to scout for television show or movie locations, or be able to meet up with some of the higher ups in Hollywood. That's why you see the first week that LeBron is out there in Hollywood, he's out to dinner with Leo DiCaprio and Al Pacino. He's not doing that in Cleveland.
The objective part is Charles said he should have stayed in Cleveland. I think if you want to go to the finals every year and get your head beat in, sure, you should stay in Cleveland. But if we're talking about the higher ceiling, the higher ceiling is in LA.
No
right?
doubt.
In terms of room for growth. Now, you may not make, you're not going to make the finals this year. But in terms of long term, like you said, 3-4 years down the line, having a realistic chance of beating the Warriors, I think he's got a much better chance.
You put LeBron James in Los Angeles in a Lakers uniform, he is not going to be alone with that franchise for all that much longer.
Well, that's more modern liberal sports media narrative, that everybody wants to play with LeBron James. You don't know that. We've already seen this offseason numerous players turn him down. Now, of course, next NBA offseason is supposedly supposed to be arguably the biggest NBA offseason in the history of the NBA. So we're going to find out a lot about LeBron James. We know he hangs out with a lot of guys. He hangs out with Draymond Green. He hangs out with Kevin Durant. He hangs out with Carmelo. He hangs out with CP3 and all these other guys. Paul George supposedly loved him to death. But how many of them want to play with LeBron?
And whether it's Kawhi, whether it's Anthony Davis, whether it's whoever,
Jimmy Butler or whatever.
somebody else is going to come play.
Beyond just the desire of those guys to want to be there, you also got to give credit to Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. They're running this thing very, very disciplined, right? They're not overextending themselves financially. And
they haven't traded their assets yet.
There's no need to do so. They know that at the very least, the LA Lakers are going to have a high level of entertainment value with LeBron James. So they don't have to make any desperate moves. Now they have an opportunity to truly assess how well Lonzo Ball is going to play with LeBron James, because that's all it's going to be about this season with Lonzo. And if they don't like what's going on, they're going to trade him. I think they're going to trade him anyway. And I think that LeVar knew that the Lakers were going to be looking to trade his son, which is why they came with the knee surgery thing. But I don't think that that's going to be able to keep Lonzo with the Lakers all the way through the All-Star break. I think they're going to move him. They're going to fire Luke Walton. And they're going to try to prep next year's Lakers team for a playoff run. They're going to put LeBron in the same situation that Cleveland put him in last season. Have him surrounded by a bunch of neophytes and make it look like LeBron is a miracle worker.
Their assets.
But that's what LeBron giving them 4 years.
That's what I'm saying. It gives them the flexibility to do this right rather than mortgage stuff.
Well, and LeBron did that in Miami, right? He committed to the 6 years, 4 years, and an opt-out, right? And it gave Pat Riley the ability to say, hey, come play with LeBron and Wade and Bosh. And Magic Johnson and Rob have that opportunity.
Right, but who really went to go play with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh? They got Ray Allen. Like, it wasn't like a whole bunch of superstars were running down there. They got Ray Allen, who was about 40 years old. I mean, give me a break.
Opportunity now as well. I think, honestly, part of that is because, Magic told me this story when he took the job.
That's a name drop and a half right there.
He was on Mornings with Keyshawn George and LT on ESPN LA 710. And when he took the job, and I had asked him, all right, whose brain did you pick when you wanted to take this job? And he said, I spent a week with Pat Riley. So I'm sure a lot of what LeBron heard was familiar to him as far as structure was concerned. Now, it's not the military school that we all know Pat likes to run, because Magic can relate to LeBron on a different level than anyone really can, because he knows what it's like to be the greatest player on the planet. So I think when you couple all those things together, I think that it made a lot of sense for LeBron to be in LA, even just from a basketball perspective. I know everyone talks about the off-the-court stuff, but from a basketball perspective, it was somewhat familiar and, again, just more appealing to him. But what does that mean?
I mean, look at the camera like I ain't got shit to say. That's going to be a big shitstorm by the middle of the season next year. That's what Amin is saying, and I agree. But it's going to be a very fun watch, the Lakers, because I could just see LeBron James on the sideline around game 30 with a towel over his face, yelling at Rondo on the sideline, and Rondo cursing back at him.
I mean, this year.
No.
I mean, don't even know if you're going to make the playoffs.
I'm just saying, like, we're really just, we're writing that in pen. Huh?
Playoffs?
I don't know if that should be written in pen.
All right, you also heard LeBron say he didn't spend a lot of time recruiting Paul George to come to L.A. So, Royce, are you surprised to hear that from LeBron?
No, because Paul George had really kind of made up his mind that he was staying in Oklahoma City.
Plus, I think that LeBron has his eyes on bigger fish. LeBron has his eyes on KD and also Kawhi. Those are the two guys he wants. If he can get KD and Kawhi, he knows he'll probably win a championship the next 3 seasons. He's not thinking about Paul George.
Quite a time before July 1st.
You mean when we decided to run a Sports Center special? Like, I'm pretty sure at that point he had learned from the decision not to do that.
I said it on Sports Center that night that Paul George had basically given the Thunder pretty strong indications that he was going to stay all the way back even to the trade deadline. The Thunder were not fretting about the trade deadline. They were rebuking anybody that called them because they had a pretty good feeling Paul George was going to stay. He didn't outright tell them that. But I'd also say this. I think that the fact that LeBron went to the Lakers only cemented it a little bit further for Paul George to want to stay in Oklahoma City.
Really?
Because, look, Paul George, he wasn't shy about saying that he wanted to play for the Lakers. His boyhood team that he grew up rooting for, dreaming of playing for the Lakers. LeBron James was going to come and steal all that spotlight.
Ding. So then, sir, why are you stating that there are going to be players that want to come play with LeBron if you already know that LeBron James is like a black hole? You're not making sense.
The Lakers organization was not going to be Paul George's. And, you know, I've been told by people that, look, Paul George, he can get on equal footing a little bit more with Russell Westbrook in terms of stardom.
They can be peers. Yeah.
Paul George cares a little bit about spotlight. He wants the respect. He wants the admiration of players around the league.
I also think that he's going to fit in much better with Russell Westbrook than KD did, because KD was so talented that it truly was an offense to his ego that Russell Westbrook was unwilling to allow himself to be subservient to KD. Kevin Durant's mentality is, Russell, you're a point guard, and plus, we both know I'm better than you. Well, Russell's looking at KD like, no, nigga, I don't think that you're better than me. As a matter of fact, I think I'm a little bit better than you. So I'm going to shoot when I feel like it, and I'm going to pass to you when I feel like it. So take your skinny ass over there to the corner of the basketball court. If I feel like it, I'll kick out to you. When it comes to PG, Paul George's game is different from KD. Paul George's attitude is, I'm going to get 16, 17 shots a game, and I'm good with that. I don't need to have a game where I get 28 shots. I'm going to play good defense, and I'm going to help my team win.
He wants the attention. You're not going to get that if you walk into Los Angeles and you're sharing that stage with LeBron.
Look what happened to Chris Bosh. Look what happened to Kevin Love. Like all these great players that played with LeBron. And look, it was a fruitful pairing for all those players.
Yes.
But the cost of doing business is they look at you as less than.
Right.
They look at you as less than. And if being looked at with the sort of level of stature and respect is important to a player, then yeah, it makes sense. The other thing I would say, though, is if you're LeBron James, how can you sell someone hard on a place that you haven't even been yet?
Right, that's true, too. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's different from him, like, pitching, if you were in Miami, pitching Mike Miller to come here or whatever. That's a lot different because you don't know.
Yes, that's one of the superstars that LeBron James was able to lure to Miami. Mike Miller and Shane Battier. Once again, this is why I've been telling you brothers this for a very long time. This notion, this narrative that has been propagated by the mainstream liberal sports media, that everyone wants to play with LeBron James, it's never been valid, it's never been substantive, and really it's only been recently that certain members of the media have finally started to acknowledge it. People like Stephen A. Smith, of course Skip Bayless has pretty much said it for a while, but Stephen A. Smith is starting to come into the light and understand that most of these guys don't want to play with LeBron James. The way that LeBron plays is really all about him. It's always going to be about him. You could tell he lives his life like that it's all about him.
No, like, how much can I sell of a place that I don't even know myself if it's actually there or if it's just a mirage?
Right, and in Miami, you had Dwayne who had been there, or whatnot, and again, that was a little different story. And here's the other thing with Paul George, before we move on, is that Paul George is from Palmdale. He's not from Los Angeles. That's different. I don't think people
real
realize.
a Clippers fan. Too.
Right? Yeah. No, I know. He said that. He's actually
said that before.
Yeah.
He respects the Lakers. He loves the Lakers. I think he kind of rooted for both. I'd say this too.
But Palmdale is a small town.
Right.
Indiana is not a huge metropolis. I think Oklahoma City's not a huge metropolis.
You want to know what Paul George is about? What's going on this weekend? That you might be
charity fishing tournament.
There you go.
Fishing.
Oklahoma's got good fishing.
Yeah, that's what Paul George likes. He likes to go fishing, and he likes to knock up strippers.
That's Paul George.
He's a simple guy. He likes video games. He likes fishing. He likes his family. And I'd say this too, and that's one of the reasons he kind of connected with Russell Westbrook, because Westbrook's kind of similarly minded. But in terms of sharing stage and spotlight, you're not going to win an MVP playing alongside. You can win an MVP playing alongside Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant did it. Now,
right, but you have to be a transcendent player. That's what Kevin Durant was, and also remember that the season that Kevin Durant won the MVP with the OKC Thunder, Russell was hurt for a lot of that season.
It's hard to play alongside Westbrook, but you can win an MVP.
By the way, did you go?
Okay, so now that's pretty much it on the topic pertaining to LeBron James opening the school for quote-unquote at-risk youth in Akron, Ohio. We'll see where everything goes with that situation. I have a very strange feeling that some very shady aspects of that entire story are going to emerge relatively soon and definitely down the line. So peace.